Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Onboard with Cruise Passenger. We're here showcasing the best of river cruising. I'm Rose Kelly and I'm your host for today.
And I'm Peter Lynch, the Editor-in-Chief of cruisepassenger.com.au and Cruise and Travel Luxury Magazine.
And stay with us because today you'll get the chance to win $21,000 on a river cruise at the end of this podcast. Don't miss it.
Don't change that dial. That's a fantastic prize.
It's very 80s of you, Peter. Don't change the dial. Okay. Very modern here in this studio, but I've got my entry in.
Excellent. Well, that's great, Rose, but sadly, you can't win.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice, but anyway, today's podcast is brought to you by the River Cruise Collective, our special program designed to help you get on the right ship in the right place, which is very important.
It is indeed.
So we've partnered with luxury lines that sail right throughout Europe, Asia, and North and South America.
Fantastic. And even India and Africa. You can go on safari in both countries to see amazing wildlife from a river ship.
From a river ship, even the passengers on the river ship, amazing wildlife. Yes, you can indeed. And today we're going to talk about Uniworld Boutique River Cruises. With river cruising on the rise, our listeners could do with some help to make their choice.
That's so true. There's so many itineraries. So getting a bit of help is definitely a good thing. Here in the studio, we've got Alice Ager, Managing Director of Uniworld Boutique River Cruises, a luxury line that specialises in particular unique journeys. Welcome, Alice.
Thank you, Peter. Hi, Rosie. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you, Alice. Now, with river cruising becoming just so popular, you're the woman to tell us exactly how much it is booming at the moment. But our listeners are really trying to decide which cruise to go on, and making that right choice is absolutely vital from the get-go. Am I right?
Correct. Absolutely. There's so much to consider when choosing the river cruise for you. You've got so many options on destinations, the rivers, the itineraries to choose from. But beyond that, you've also got choices around how much do you want to have all included in your itinerary and in your package, or what kind of ship do you want to be on?
So true. And in Europe right now, it's also really important to make sure you've got a line that can help you get past the crowds, especially in those, destinations that are amazingly popular.
Oh, you absolutely want to cut the lines when you go to Europe at the moment. There are thousands of tourists visiting the key attractions across Europe every single day. What you get with a Uniworld cruise is that behind-the-scenes after-hours access. So no queuing, no waiting, and getting exclusive access.
Absolutely. So important, particularly when you think some of the ocean liners are tipping 5,000 passengers into those destinations. And I love the intimacy of these journeys. You soon get to know about everyone on board. That's what I really love about it. You just can't do it on a large ship.
No, you're going to make friends from all around the world when you cruise with Uniworld. About 120 guests on our ships on average.
My gosh.
So you're going to make a lot of friends. It's an intimate and lovely way to travel.
Not to mention the crew that become your best mates as well by the end of a journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The crew will remember you and remember what you like.
Yeah.
Now, also tell us about the fact that with these river cruise ships, you get to sail right into the heart of some of these beautiful cities.
Well, I think that's the beauty of Europe, particularly, where a lot of the major infrastructure and the tourist attractions sit in the heart of cities that sit on the banks of rivers. So we have the privilege of arriving directly into the centre of that town or village, stepping off the ship, either grabbing a bicycle or walking on foot and taking in the sights.
You've described it perfectly, really. But also logistically, there's a beauty behind waking up in a new city, and you don't have to do all the immigration, all that, the transfers in between, the visas, the customs. You're basically in your own hotel, the same hotel room, unpacking only once for multiple cities and destinations. How good is that?
It's very different to ocean cruising. When you embark on a river ship, it's like checking into a hotel. So you do show your passport, but it's not for immigration purposes. It's just for the rules and regulations of that country. And then you're free to come and go as you like. You can step off the ship at your leisure.
Absolutely true. I can remember visiting markets, and using those electronic scooters that you can hire by the curbside.
I can
Being
picture
able to-
you on one of those
I can
right
tell you,
now,
I
Peter.
was
You'd be
an
dangerous.
avid user.
Flying around the streets
It
of
was
somewhere
great.
like Venice.
You
Would
could-
you? Yeah,
you could
you'd be a
book a
fiend.
restaurant, go out to lunch, and still be back in time to leave at 4. Absolutely amazing. Gave you a great feeling of liberation. It was your holiday, so you weren't tied.
Tell us
Loved it.
about, for example, Venice. This is one of those cities where you guys really do it well.
We're actually the only river ship there, and it's
Yes.
the only place where you're allowed to call our ships boats because, in fact,
Oh.
the Italian tourism and it's the only place where boats are allowed into the Giudecca Canal. So, in
Right.
fact, all the
Wow.
big ocean cruise liners have been kicked out, and we have a beautiful luxury floating hotel there. It's the best value accommodation in all of Venice.
Of course.
Wow.
With all your meals included, and of course your free flow Aperol spritz. Why go and sit in a piazza and spend all your money?
That is Venice in a
When you have your own
nutshell.
piazza
Yes.
floating.
Yes.
Beautiful.
What a great idea.
And there are so many historic elements of Venice, for example, after hours moments
Yes.
that you would be able to experience being that only boat
Yes.
that's allowed in there
Yep.
for the overnights. What are those benefits?
There's a few I'd love to share. One in particular is we take our guests into the Doge's Palace before it opens to the public.
Oh my God.
So we get up a little bit early, we have an earlier breakfast, but at 8 o'clock we are in that beautiful palace on our own with our own art historian. And when we leave at about
Fantastic.
9:15, you can literally see the lines and lines and lines of
Yes.
tourists queuing up to buy their ticket. And we've already experienced it firsthand with nobody else there.
You
It's
walk out
just
Sure, I'm
feeling
sure
a
you
little
ma-
bit
I-
smug.
I was going to say,
A
I'm
little bit
sure you
smug.
managed to wrestle a smile.
It does sound
It
divine.
feels wonderful.
I love that smug feeling as a traveller.
And the other one is another evening we do a nights out experience where we take the Uniworld guests exclusively into St. Mark's Basilica after hours with our same art historian.
Yep.
We have a beautiful experience there. But finally, my favourite in Italy is actually we've built our own port on the island of Burano.
Really?
So Burano is a very popular place as the vaporettos come in and out all day long, bringing thousands of tourists each day. We, of course, experience that hustle and bustle, but as everybody goes home on the last vaporetto, we're able to spend the evening there on our own exploring. You know, you can choose to dine in a local restaurant with the
fabulous.
locals after hours. It's amazing.
That's my type of travel.
I've got to say, that's so important. You have the freedom to stay there, to talk to the locals. It's not just a walking tour or anything like that. I really love it.
Some of these exclusive moments that you're speaking about, I'm sure there are some other amazing destinations. So I know that the Danube is also a very popular spot for Uniworld. What would be something that a traveller could experience there that's quite exclusive with Uniworld?
Well, the Danube is definitely trending. And in Vienna, for example, we take our clients after hours into the beautiful War Museum, which is this incredible, beautiful building with a private Mozart and Strauss concert and a beautiful cocktail reception. But that's something that is you just have to do that when you're in Vienna.
You do.
What a great
You
great
do.
way to do it.
And do you do the white horses?
We do on some itineraries.
I
We
love
only
that
get
show.
access to those on particular days.
Yes.
So we have to, it's only when the stars align that the ship is in port on the right day. But if we are in town for that moment, we absolutely take our clients to
Vienna
see it.
is one of the world's most incredible cities. It's so grand.
And when you do it right, it's even grander.
Of course, absolutely amazing. But luxury is not just about what's happening on your shore excursion. Tell us a little bit more about what happens on the ship.
Okay. Well, our ships, what we do different is that we like to bring the feel of the destination on board. So we want to immerse our guests so that they feel like if they are on the Danube, we want them to feel like they are part of the Habsburg dynasty on the SS Maria Theresa.
I've got my diamonds ready. Have you got your tiara,
Do we have to
Peter?
wear those amazing wigs?
Well, you could. It would look fabulous.
Lovely ruffled
Love it.
skirt. Yes, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, so It sounds incredible. Tell us a little bit more about that sort of theme that you have on board the ships.
Yes, so it means that every single one of our ships is completely unique. We could not move that SS Maria Teresa into France, for example, because it would look ridiculous. We've designed that ship to feel like she should belong on the Danube. So when you go to France, you're going to feel like you're absolutely in the south of France with beautiful furnishings and decor. And of course, the cuisine. So we want the food. We want you to experience the local dining.
Well, you've just touched on a very important element for most of our cruises. The number one thing that they look for is cuisine.
Yes.
And that's something Uniworld does brilliantly.
And uniquely for river cruises, of course, they really can buy from locals.
Yes.
They can go to the market. I've been on chef's tours. So gorgeous to be able to see the produce, go back to your ship, and eat it.
The pièce de résistance.
Of course.
Stop looking at it. Let's try it.
Yeah, absolutely. Venice is a great example here because the Italians call the Veneto region the gold mine of Italy because this is where all the fantastic seafood is sourced. So when you're in Venice, we're going to serve you local cuisine, but of course try the incredible local scampi that will have been literally harvested from the sea that day. So fresh and so beautiful, and of course all included.
And the other thing about your ships is the original artworks that are everywhere, quite literally.
This is a point of difference.
Absolutely.
Definitely,
I mean, I really love the fact that the ships are stuffed with their own museum, like a gallery.
Yes. Well, this is why people travel, to take in the culture and the art and the history.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate that we have a beautiful fine art collection in our business. And these beautiful pieces are showcased throughout our fleet. You will see incredible pieces from Matisse, Degas.
Wow.
In my suite when I cruised on the SS Joie de Vie in Paris recently, I had a Picasso sketch on the wall just hanging. We have some beautiful art to showcase and it just fits so perfectly with that immersion into the destination.
I think it's so great that the unique thing about Uniworld is that every ship is different. Unlike some lines where every ship is the same, Uniworld really does stand out in making each ship an experience in itself. From the amazing decor, the wallpapers, they're really stunning. And the bed linen and even cut glass and decanters. Just really, you feel as if you're somewhere special.
I would say you are absolutely in a floating, fabulous hotel. So if you like great hotels around the world, you will love Uniworld.
And I love that each ship in that respect tells its own story. So it's not just about the destination you're going to. You would go home and literally tell the story about the ship to your family and friends and be able to say, I had a Picasso sketch in my own suite.
It's so unique.
Wow.
And it felt so special to lie in bed and look at an original Picasso. And my husband was kind of touching it going, it's not even screwed.
No, don't touch it. Don't touch it.
It was just beautiful. Something very special.
Yeah. I totally understand. And it is, as you say, a reflection of the places that the ship is sailing in.
Correct.
Now, tell us a little more about the food. I have to bring it back to the food, of course. Now, I know that, as Peter mentioned, you can do the whole experience of stepping offshore and then coming back to the ship from the markets, but there's a real emphasis on farm to table, and that can be very immersive for your guests. What's available in that regard?
Yeah, this is really our point of difference. So we want people to eat local food. We want them to have the cheese that is produced in this tiny region of France. If we're visiting Avignon, for example, we're going to taste the wines, the rosés and the Côte de Rhône's wines from local. So
And so,
where's my ticket?
You had me at cheese, Alice.
I love cheese too. Give me cheese any day over any kind of dessert.
So true.
But,
okay, and here's the best part about it. It's all inclusive, right?
Yes, all dining is completely all inclusive. In fact, like with all of our drinks, all of our fine wines, served by our sommeliers with a daily selection. Basically, you've paid for everything before you go when you travel with Uniworld.
And I think a lot of this, the art and indeed the food, comes from basically the owner of the line, Beatrice Tolman.
Yes, Mrs. Tolman is our matriarch. We're very proudly family owned as a business. So we're part of a very big travel company called the Travel Corporation with over 40 travel brands. You may have heard of Luxury Gold,
Yes.
Insight Vacations, but Red Carnation Hotels was the original brand for Mr. and Mrs. Tolman. We have over 100 years of hospitality history, and they purchased Uniworld in 2004, and their vision was to recreate their boutique hotels just floating on the rivers of Europe, and they've done a beautiful job.
And
with
I
it.
believe
Now I
there is
get it.
one ship actually called the SS Beatrice,
named
and
after-
she's beautiful with a loyal following from many cruise fans out there too.
It's actually our number one selling ship. It has the highest occupancy
Is
of
that
our
right?
entire
Ah.
fleet.
And
I'm
I
not
think Mrs.
surprised.
Tolman has actually written a food book.
She has. She has a beautiful cookbook, and our chefs are presented with this beautiful book on every induction day. So we share a lot of Mrs. Tolman's fabulous recipes. So she has a very famous chicken soup and some beautiful chicken. Everything that she does with flair, but it's also really homely. And, you know, you may be in France eating fabulous pate and terrines and fancy food, but sometimes you just want a simple piece of salmon. And Mrs.
That
Tolman
chicken
has
soup
sounds
sounds divine.
soup.
Oh,
Very European chicken
yes.
soup, I think.
but in terms of the value, we've mentioned that the wines and the cuisine, all inclusive. There's a lot more value in terms of a Uniworld experience too. What else is all inclusive?
Yeah, so I think you look at it from start to finish. So we're going to pick you up from the airport on arrival and take you straight to the ship. You're going to have your entire experience will be completely hosted by Uniworld. You'll have nothing to think about. You'll have a daily selection of shore excursions, and they may range from a humble walking tour to the fabulous after-hours experience in St. Mark's Basilica, for example.
Fantastic.
But you never have to put your hand in your pocket for that.
Wonderful.
All of the onboard Wi-Fi, all of your meals and your drinks. If you have a specialty cocktail that you prefer, we have 24-hour room service. So not that
Wow.
I've ever been hungry when I've river cruised before, but if ever you are, you can literally call room service at any time.
What an amazing way to see Europe. And I think we've done quite a lot of calculating for the River Cruise Collective. And one of the most amazing things about this is when you try and price a holiday like this, where people create it themselves and maybe take a car and drive through Europe, the price difference is enormous. We calculated one cruise on the very famous Amsterdam to Budapest cruise, which everyone loves. And I think we found it was $23,000 more to take a Volvo
What?
and drive that route. Not to mention the fact, of course, that driving that route, finding hotels, restaurants, stopping off for coffee,
Carting all your shopping around.
carting
Peter.
or shopping
Yes.
around would drive you completely crazy, and you definitely need a holiday afterwards.
For sure.
Whereas traveling in a Uniworld ship, relaxed, everything taken care of, completely different holiday and cheaper.
Absolutely.
I think that's the thing that many people do not understand.
Correct. I think cruising generally is amazing value for money. River cruising, when it comes to particularly those very expensive cities like Paris, where honestly a great hotel, which
Yes.
will be a very small room, you know, you're looking at minimum 500 euros a night, and that does not include any food or any drinks.
That's a good deal, because I was in Rome where I was being charged $1,000 a night for a pretty ordinary room in a Rome hotel. No food, no breakfast, no coffee.
No chicken soup.
No chicken soup.
No.
Definitely no chicken soup. Our new edition of Cruise and Travel is out in newsagents now and available online at our website, cruisepassenger.com.au. And it has a very special review of our journey in Egypt.
Ha
That's not me in Egypt. I sailed on the SS Sphinx earlier this year down the Nile, and it was a really very special experience. And I think you too have done the Nile recently.
I have. I was there only last month.
I'm
And
so
can I
jealous of you two right now.
We are very
This is
global.
not
We're
fair.
living the dream over here. I
Well-
do have the best job in the world because we get to travel frequently and go to these amazing destinations. Now, Egypt for me, I've been passionate about Egypt since I was a teenager when I studied history at high school. And I don't know why I've never been there before. until this year, because
too.
it just blows my mind that this wasn't the top of my travel list forever. And it just astounds me that it's taken me this long to work that out. But I had the most incredible 2 weeks in Egypt. I did our Uniworld itinerary. We start in Cairo. We have some land components where we stay in Cairo. I was in the Four Seasons Hotel right on the River Nile.
Absolutely
beautiful.
fabulous.
Perfect,
Me too.
yes.
Yeah.
And then we all flew together to Luxor and embarked the beautiful SS Sphinx. And I cruised down the Nile all the way down to Aswan and back up to Luxor. But Egypt has stolen my heart. I've
Wow.
become the most
Wow.
passionate ambassador for the country of Egypt. I think it's one of the most stimulating destinations I've ever experienced. There is so much to learn, so much to see and do. The food was actually incredible. The Egyptian wine was delicious.
Wow.
But my absolute highlight was the Egyptian people and the culture.
Yep.
And that really blew my mind. I was so shocked. It really took my heart.
I don't know whether you had the same experience as us, but all the way down the Nile, kids were waving at us and cheering, and even the adults were cheering as the ship went past. You really felt you were standing on a regal liner, maybe a pharaoh going through the land. Are really amazing. And the Sphinx itself is like an Egyptian palace. It's even got a mini Sphinx on the bows, which I think was really funny. But the walls are royal blue and an astonishing decoration in the bathrooms. That kind of really like an Egyptian Tutankhamun tomb with amazing tiles, really brilliant. And we loved the level of service. The Egyptian people, in fact, the ship is all Egyptian because the crew are Egyptian. They were really so friendly. Absolutely amazing.
That's a good point, because I think some people have held off travelling to Egypt because they think it's very crowded or perhaps a little dangerous.
Yes.
But the picture that you've both painted today couldn't be further from that, really.
I must say that the people were so friendly, and their overwhelming message was, please tell your friends to come, because the country needs tourism, really needs tourism, and it is safe.
And warm and welcoming,
Yes,
by the sounds of it too.
We had an amazing time, and we felt very comfortable everywhere, wherever we went. We had the chance to view the world's wonders, the pyramids, the temples, almost without a hitch, and certainly without the crowds, which was another real blessing.
And Alice, you've mentioned the history as well. That fascinates me. So I can imagine that Uniworld really has opportunities for guests to immerse themselves in the history and the culture and to learn about the beauty of Egypt, not just the tourism side of it, but the background.
Yeah, we definitely go deeper. We go to another level. And I think we have the best Egyptologists there are. So
Wow.
these guys are absolute experts. They're such amazing storytellers. So it's beyond just the facts and the numbers. You really feel that you get the whole picture.
I can imagine it would feel like you're being transported. I'm feeling very Indiana Jones, like you're not just visiting, you're experiencing
So
it.
I think the really important part, and just to absolutely underscore what you said, Alice, our guide was an Egyptologist.
Cool.
And I thought, well, what does that mean? So I asked him, 8 years of study before you're allowed to call yourself an Egyptologist.
Wow.
So he really knew his stuff. And it's the characters, I think, that make Egypt's history so wonderful. Tutankhamun to the Queen. This is one story I really loved, who had to pose as a man when she was ruling Egypt for 20 years.
Wow.
Queen Hatshepsut, her name is, and she was one of the best pharaohs. But the men of Egypt just would not acknowledge that a woman could perform the feats that she performed. All her statues are androgynous, and she had to actually pose as a woman. Her husband was not allowed to come out of the palace in case her secret was blown. Can you believe that? Amazing story.
I struggle to believe it, but I think the story itself is just mesmerizing as well.
Absolutely amazing. And one of the funniest things we witnessed when we were there was sailing on the Nile in one of those amazing little sailing boats, a felucca, a small sailing ship. And everywhere we went on the Nile, these young boys on paddle boards were coming out, would grab onto the side of your tourist boat and start singing, rather bizarrely in French, but I think that may be part of the colonial history, for $1. And our guide, who was very, very cruel, said we were Russians. And they immediately changed the song to Russian and sang to us in Russia. We had to give them $1 after that.
You didn't have the heart to say Australian. I wonder if they could bust out the Waltzing Matilda.
We should have done that. That would have been a great idea. And our guide was a chap called Ramadan Boussioni. He's a veteran Egyptologist who has sailed the Nile with Uniworld for 30 years. And indeed, he was a captivating storyteller. And the captain of our ship was the grandson of another Nile captain. And he had one very bizarre trait. He steered the ship with his feet.
Oh, yes. Barefoot.
Barefoot.
Yes.
Did you see that too?
I did.
Quite amazing. He's
Amazing.
Totally proud of it. I mean, in fact, when we talked to him, he was steering the ship with his feet, and really nobody batted an eyelid.
In fact,
It's
weren't
quite
you the
unique,
only
isn't
one
it?
to notice?
Well, I thought it was
Peter?
pretty
Quite
unique.
unique.
Yeah. There's
unique.
something odd about this picture. What is it?
Absolutely.
But Rose, you have to go to Egypt.
Oh,
I
well,
think you would love it. And
if
because
there's an invite,
can
Alice.
you imagine going into a temple and they tell you that this artwork, which is perfectly preserved, is 3,000
Yes.
years old? It's so hard to wrap your head around that.
That's quite hard to comprehend.
You spend your entire time pinching yourself. So, did you know that the recipe for Chanel No. 9 perfume is actually in the hieroglyphic writing on the side of a temple? And that's true.
Yeah, it's incredible.
We were shown it.
Why is that not just the Chanel top branding ever? It's like this is just forecast by the pharaohs.
So Egypt is very famous for its
Wow.
perfume, and we were taken during our cruise to a perfume shop. And we were there for an hour. I had no idea how much perfume.
Teresa
Egypt
would have
makes.
snapped
I
up
could
a
have-
fair bit as
absolutely.
well.
I
I
I'm
could have
sure.
stayed there for all day. It was
It was
so
a
fascinating.
great experience,
yeah, it was
wasn't
a
it?
wonderful
Absolutely
experience.
terrific.
There's some
And
good shopping stops
quite-
on the
quite
itinerary.
unique.
Yes.
Quite unique.
And another good reason to be on a cruise, so I can fit all my shopping back in my suite, and I don't have to lug it around with me to airports. But as you've both just pointed out, it can be the fact that you've got the best possible guide that can really transform your entire experience of a destination. So that's something that
Very
Uniworld
important.
prides itself on.
Yes, and as you can see from the length of time our guide spent with Uniworld,
Mm.
they don't lose them.
They love their jobs.
They do.
It's an aspirational role on the
Absolutely.
River Nile particularly.
Yeah.
They really want to work for Uniworld. The Uniworld ships are really special. They're very
Yes.
different. And I think the culture that they've created in Egypt with our crew, they're so proud. They're so happy.
Alice, would you have a personal favourite experience from your time in Egypt?
Well,
How do you narrow it down?
our Egyptologist took us to a Egyptian cotton shop
The
because he
best
said
there
you need
is.
to buy, it's a calabassa, is that how we say it? Calabassa is the outfit, the traditional Egyptian costume. And of course, I didn't want to miss out, and it was a shopping, shopping opportunity. So I now have a very special black and gold dress that is going to go directly into my dress up box. But this moment when I put that dress on, and they were so happy that everybody on the ship got involved in this special calabassa evening, and we did Egyptian dancing. There were Egyptian drummers on board. We drank Egyptian drinks made from mint and just delicious.
Wow.
And it was so fun. But I think I've made so many new friends, Egyptian friends, who I just can't tell you how quickly you create a connection where they're so open and they're so friendly and warm, and they want to know all about your life, and they're so happy to answer questions that you're able to really, it's something unique. You don't get it with Europeans necessarily. It's
I
like
think
a
that's right.
really beautiful, deep connection with the Egyptian culture.
The
I think that's
enthusiasm.
right. And I think, that message that was sent by the guide, who literally pleaded with me, tell everybody to come, it's safe. I really felt was
Oh,
very
it's so
heartfelt.
safe.
He really, really meant it, and they love their tourists. So not having them there is a real hardship.
It's
On that
picking up.
note-
It is picking
On
up.
that note, I'm sold. I want to be on the first available ship
Excellent.
over there. So tell us, what are some of the most amazing deals that are
So
available?
for Egypt, for example, for next year, every itinerary next year in Egypt has $1,000 off. So
Wow.
that's huge.
Great. That's a
an
lot of
incredible
shopping we
saving.
could do.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
part of our double the savings offer for
Great.
2025. So that's on every date in 2025, but for a limited time,
Mhm.
we will extend that offer. For this year, if you're looking for something short term, we have some availability remaining. It's priced to sell and it's good to go. We have
That's unheard of that you still have something available.
Yeah.
And we've added additional departures on the tail end of our season, just based on the high demand that we're seeing for
Excellent.
short-term travel. So
That's
that's been
really
added.
good news.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So Christmas markets, we have some specials. We've got 2024 solo waivers. So solo travellers are
That's really
very
important
popular.
and a great deal.
Yeah.
So Christmas markets, you've still got some capacity.
We have very limited, but we do. We have some capacity on Christmas this year.
Where do you go for the Christmas markets?
Oh, well, my favourite would have to be Belgium.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't done this itinerary yet, but it's on my bucket list. And it's a deep dive into Belgian Christmas culture, which of course is the best things in life: chocolate,
Aha.
beer,
Yeah.
And sausages.
mussels, mussels and frites. I mean, it's beautiful. So
Love
that's
it.
a fabulous itinerary
Yeah.
that we're very proud of.
Amazing. And people can find out more about all of these deals through Uniworld, the website.
Yep. And talk to your travel advisor. So travel advisors are experts on Uniworld, and they'll help you know which itinerary is right for you.
Mm.
And of course, listeners can come along to our very special high tea or cocktails event at the Langham Hotel.
We'll be there.
I'm so looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
It's going to be wonderful.
and you'll be there
I
to,
will be there.
to
Yeah.
tell them about Uniworld. So I think that will be a really, really great event. Hurry, because tickets are going fast.
Hotcakes
Absolutely. Like
for the
hotcakes,
high tea. Hotcakes.
Or like Egypt.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm very much looking forward to that event with you, Alice, but I'm very grateful for your time here today.
Thanks, Rose.
I wanted Egypt already, but now it's just
You just have to
that's
go.
skyrocketed
Take your girls.
to the top
They
of the
will
list.
love it.
Yes,
Take
yes,
them.
they
They'll
would.
learn so much and it will open their minds. It's such a powerful place to
That's
visit.
so true. I think that's absolutely.
Oh,
You
no
learn
brainer.
about new civilization.
All right. Well, we're all going to Egypt, but thank you so much for your time today, Alice. And as we promised you, our very special competition that's going on right now on the river section of cruisepassenger.com.au, you can win a $21,000 Avalon Waterways cruise.
Oh my gosh, that
Yes.
does sound fantastic. It's a second in a series of 4 we've got running right now on cruisepassenger.com.au. So go there right away and enter.
And of course, sign up for our weekly newsletter
Please
so
do.
that you never miss out on another chance to cruise for free.
And you can get our wonderful 150-page digital magazine for just $5 on our website,
Bargain.
or the fabulous, luscious print edition for $65 for a year,
And that's delivered right to your home. Even
right to your
better.
door.
Well, that's sadly all we have time for today, but we will see you next time for another exciting episode of Onboard with Cruise Passenger.
See you soon.
See ya.